digital influencer that doesn't even exist. She has 3 million followers on Instagram, and you could get someone who doesn't age, works hard, has no liabilities in terms of getting sued.
Yeah, and it's hard for some people to actually distinguish between like whether or not it's a virtual person or a real person.
Yeah.
As the technology grows, it's going to become more and more uncanny and more difficult for people to tell, like, oh, I'm following like a bot, and then 5 years in you realize that it was just a bot the whole time.
Instead of like that mascot representing the entity of the company, like you think of Ronald McDonald as McDonald. This is like a form of that, but they like the actual mascot is the product. What's poppin', everybody?
Welcome back to the Cole Podcast.
I'm Zoe.
And I'm Steve.
All right, and today we're going to talk about this new phenomenon of AI-generated virtual influencers.
Yeah, there's a lot of different like weird AI influencers that are becoming really famous really fast all over the internet. And if you didn't know, another phrase for AI influencers is digital influencers. And basically these digital personalities have a social media presence, and they're actually able to interact with the world from a first person's perspective. So all of that is possible using AI, and there's even a lot of different AI and real human interactions in the world. For example, like Bella Hadid, who was a famous model, she posed with Lil Miquela, who was an AI-generated influencer for an advertisement for Calvin Klein. So
how's that work?
Well, pull it up, Lizzie. It's on the Instagram tab.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so this is Bella Hadid and Lil Miquela.
So is there like a person in like a mocap suit like that she's posing with, or how's this happening?
I mean, it's likely that she's hugging nothing, and they just superimposed Lil Miquela into it.
Yeah, I guess so. Who is Lil Miquela, and I guess what is she known for?
So Lil Miquela is literally a bot. She's a virtual influencer that's used by different companies to promote different brands and advertising and stuff like that.
That's funny.
And there's really companies that are designed to create these virtual influencers, grow their following, and then basically just farm money using things that don't exist.
That's actually really funny. You know what? I feel like this has been a thing in Japan first, back when they had like those
Vocaloids.
virtual Vocaloids. Like I remember I feel like they were the first to kind of do a variation of that.
Yeah, that's actually factual.
Yeah.
I had done some research because I prepared this, and I can't remember. I think it was like Kyoto Girl or something like that. I don't know what her name was, but before like Hatsune Miku, that's one.
Yeah, I know that one. The blue hair.
She's
one.
like the most famous one probably.
Mm-hmm.
But people are basically, there's actually a little bit of concern because there's a lot of like celebrity deep fakes being made right now. People are taking the same software that they would use to make a virtual influencer, they can use to make like virtual celebrities and then make them do porn.
Yeah, I think I remember. I can't remember. I think it was Pokimane and maybe some other chick that I think had a video that like where they complained about it. And I think I think one girl like she started crying because she was like, I can't believe they're using my face and things I haven't done. And I was, I don't even want to make fun of it because like people were like really triggered about that. So,
yeah.
But no, I remember seeing that, and that is a thing.
Yeah, and it's hard for some people to actually distinguish between like whether or not it's a virtual person or a real person.
Yeah.
Which I think as it grows in the tech and everything, as the technology grows, it's going to become more and more uncanny and more difficult for people to tell, like, oh, I'm following like a bot. Like, how would you feel about that if you found out an influencer you really like they make videos that crack you up, and then 5 years in you realize that it was just a bot the whole time?
Yeah, let me think. It's funny. That's like if I was back in like college. I remember I used to be a really big Bill Burr fan, and that's like if I just found out Bill Burr like was a bot, like out of nowhere, like every comedy special was just him. He was just like an AI generated thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd probably be really disappointed. I'd be like let down like really hard. Probably would warp my world, just like because I'm thinking to myself like, man, there's a lot of like characteristics I want to emulate in my life that I see in this person. I want to mold myself after them. And realize it was never real. Like that was never a person.
Like I really relate to this guy.
Yeah, that would throw me off.
It's
not even a guy.
All right, let's get a little more context. Let's see this first video. It's going to actually kind of explain a little bit more about virtual influencers and give us a little more of an idea of how they work.
Actually, the face behind Paxson is a digital influencer that doesn't even exist. She has 3 million followers on Instagram. And imagine, for example, you're a company looking to hire some of these models or some of these influencers to promote your pages, and you could get someone who doesn't age, works hard, has no liabilities in terms of getting sued. It's just a win-win for them. For example, you could even make AI Instagram influencers, and actually the face...
Yeah, so like that's like a weird way to look at it. Like I know there's an example. This is kind of like not even off topic, but it's a little bit different than an AI influencer. Bruce Willis is like he's effectively brain dead now.
Yeah, I saw something about that.
Yeah,
like
but-
now he's nonverbal.
Yeah, he's nonverbal, but did you know that Bruce Willis sold all of his likeness? He sold his rights to his likeness, and now they can recreate him as an AI.
Are you serious?
Yeah, so we're gonna have Bruce Willis as a non-aging figment of our imagination. That
is the most bizarre thing to hear.
It makes sense for his situation though.
Yeah. I was gonna say something like when I saw the Bruce Willis news, I was like I couldn't help but like not the news, but when you just said it, I smiled and I was about to laugh. Not because
You're a bad person.
No. I want to clarify. It's not because I thought his situation is funny. It's just I had no idea Bruce Willis was going through anything. I hadn't heard any news about Bruce Willis, and then you just come up and say, "Oh, did you know that he's like effectively brain dead now?" I'm just like, what was going on? What happened?
Yeah, Bruce Willis, man. I don't know. I think he didn't like get in an accident. I think he has like some degenerative disease.
Okay.
And I've known that for years now.
I had no idea. Really like literally, if I didn't see this just yesterday, you came to me and says, what do you think Bruce Willis is doing right now? I would have been like, I don't know, probably in his mansion in a pool, like, kicking it, and then, but yeah, I had no idea he had any type of degenerative disease to just be sprung with the news that, did you know that now he's nonverbal? I'm like, well, what was he before? Yeah. Like, I didn't know he was going through anything.
Yeah, he's one of the best of us.
That's crazy.
He's definitely was a good guy.
Was he in Die Hard?
Yeah, he was in a bunch of Die Hard movies.
So many movies.
He was in Surrogates. I remember Surrogates. It was like whatever, doesn't matter.
There's an extremely off-putting joke in that when I just said he was in the movie Die Hard.
More like Hard Death.
No. Oh no, Steve.
Let me see that Trello, Lucy. Yeah, so basically, like that video was saying, the people that are responsible for creating these social influencers, these virtual influencers, they stand to make a lot of money because there's no real risk of them ever losing that asset. You know what I'm saying? Like, if for like this, I don't know why it's just popping in my head, but like the guy that played Draco Malfoy in Harry Potter, he can't get any more work because he got like typecasted as an evil person, and no one wants him in their movies anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like
kind of like the smug douchebag.
Yeah. So they can't really take him and use him anywhere else. It's like no one wants him in like a Doritos commercial.
Oh, that's
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like his agent can't like piece him out and put him in places. But with a virtual influencer, it's like, okay, we put all this investment into building the model or whatever, then it interacts with people, and then if it just stops being interesting, they can literally just make another one. They don't have to like go like star searching or find somebody. They can just make one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like an advanced version of having like a cereal mascot, like Toucan Sam.
Yeah.
Like the second people stop caring, we just retire him. We don't have to give him a pension. He can't take us to court and try to get us on like some, back pay that we didn't give him during his career. Like we just literally just delete him. It's like
like until we reach the singularity and they start thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
That actually brings up a good point. Let's see the next video. The next video talks about a Amazon TV show that's upcoming with 2 virtual influencers in it.
One can be an influencer nowadays, even if you're not human. A cat-headed DJ named Googimon and a bunny-headed streetwear icon named Janky are 2 virtual influencers created by Superplastic, a Vermont-based startup backed by Amazon's Alexa Fund. According to TechCrunch, the company is partnering with Amazon Studios on an animated comedy series that will feature its cast of virtual characters, what Superplastic's CEO is calling this generation's Disney. Each one will have a unique personality and social media following like Googimon and Janky, who together have over 2 million followers on Instagram. Googimon even made it to New York Fashion Week in the fall of 2022. While we don't know what Amazon series will be called, we do know there's money to be made in virtual influencers. A recent survey from the Influencer Marketing Factory found that 58% of respondents followed at least one virtual influencer, and 35% say they bought something promoted by one. So what do you think? Virtual influencers, cool or creepy? Let us know in the comments and subscribe to the Hustle YouTube channel.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, what's interesting about this? Because virtual YouTubers kind of seem like, mascots for a company in a way. It's like Chuck E. Cheese or like Ronald McDonald, but it's like the difference to me seems that instead of like that mascot representing the entity of the company, like you think of Ronald McDonald as McDonald's. You think of like Chuck E. Cheese as like Chuck E. Cheese, but it's like this is like a form of that, but they like the actual mascot is the product, because it's like follow this mascot, watch this thing do. It's like its own thing. So it's like an advanced version of that, where it's like the product is the mascot is no longer like a representation of something. It itself is the entity you're following.
The mascot has become the product.
Exactly.
Where it's like they're creating these mascots, and then they can just take the mascot and sell anything. Like they were saying,
yeah, exactly.
Future of
Googymon
advertising. That's pretty cool.
Googymon was in the New York Streetwear Festival or whatever they said.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That is the thing. Because think about it. You can take Googymon. If you have like a new clothesline and people love Googymon, like just him, you can make any product and have Googymon like playing
Model
or wearing
it.
that
Right.
clothes or playing with that product.
It's like this thing can't even wear clothes.
Yeah, you can just design it. It's crazy. That's an amazing
cool,
marketing scam where it's
Can't
like
lie.
we create the celebrity and then we just put anything out on it and then you'll buy it.
I
It's
like
like though, like social media is not for like for children. You know what I'm saying? Social media is not for children, and they talking about comparing it to like the new Disney. It's like
Disney's
It's-
for kids.
it's for kids, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's almost like it's like leading kids to get on social media sooner. You know what I'm saying? Because like
that's a good point.
imagine having your favorite cartoon character and then that cartoon character got an Instagram account.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I can watch what my favorite cartoon character is doing, and you feel me? Like it'll bring, but you feel me? It'll make me want to get on social media sooner, and it's like it immediately puts me in that world where it's like, I mean, you know, social media
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
It's other stuff on social media other than that can, you feel me, that I will run into because I'm on social. I'm using social media to begin with, basically.
Like imagine following Ed, and Eddie on Twitter. Like each
That's
one of them has
exactly-
their own
That
account.
sounds pretty cool.
Like,
That's
I'm not-
exactly what I was thinking
Yeah.
too.
But then they're all trying to sell you stuff too.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
And they're like talking from the perspective of their world. It's like just got home from Eddie's like just got home from Peach Creek High, you know, couldn't get a quarter out of these kids, but maybe tomorrow. And then people are like commenting to Eddie, just like, you'll get them. Don't worry. It's like, man,
Sell
you
some
know,
jawbreakers.
you're like asking Eddie himself, like, what adventure did you guys do today? Are we going to see it tonight? And he's like, you know, tune in, guys, because tonight you're going to see me do blah, blah, blah. Like, that's a wild experience because, like, you think you're talking to the character. I think that would warp a kid's perspective.
Yeah, their perspective of reality would be really weird.
Yeah.
And also, I would never let my kid engage with something like that. That sounds terrible.
You wouldn't let your kid engage directly with Bugs Bunny and
Right.
let him tell you to come to. And he's like keeps telling him, "Come on, you got to come to Six Flags, kids. Come on."
Or like, I would maybe let my kid engage with like Naruto because he'd be like, "Believe it." Like,
Yeah, you give him
be very
motivational quotes.
motivational all the time. Believe it. But generally, no, because it sounds like it would just like warp their whole idea of like, you know, having a real conversation with people. They probably would like instantly take that. Oh yeah, I'm talking to these influencers. I feel like somehow it's gonna end up at porn. I don't know how it's gonna happen, but they're gonna be like having like weird sex conversations with AI robots and stuff. And I
Yeah.
just don't want it. I don't want them to go down that rabbit hole.
I mean, inevitably, I think everything ends up at porn. I
Yeah.
think that's just like the natural like end point to everything. That's the natural singularity of the world. It just always goes to sex.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a lot of cool stuff to it. I'm like, I can imagine being a kid and you know, back when DBZ was on Toonami. And then, like, you know, when Goku's trying to power up the spirit bomb, all of a sudden everyone's phone notification goes off. And it's like Goku actually testing on Twitter, like, send me some energy, guys. I need it, as the show's airing. And then, like, it's like, like, imagine, like, the like,
That would be like
engagement
the
you could do with something like that.
corniest-
It would be so stupid, but, like, the level of engagement would be crazy.
a
Like,
kid?
Then the
I
kids would be
mean-
like, "Yeah, woo, Goku."
and then all these kids would grow up and have like this shared memory of, remember that time when Goku texted all of us? He had to send him his energy. Like,
And then he beat Frieza.
yeah, then it'd be freezing. Like, you know, everyone would feel involved. That'd be like this shared thing that people would grow up with. And you could only exist in this world to where we start idolizing fake characters.
I don't know if this analogy is gonna make sense, but it kind of gives me like Santa Claus vibes, where it's basically like you're adding a lot. You're prescribing reality to something you know doesn't exist.
Yeah, I think this is like Santa Claus on crack kind of.
Yeah, it's like Santa Claus, but then you know Santa Claus, like you actually have a robot dressed up as Santa Claus show up at your house and bring gifts. Like, or I guess you could just say like you have your uncle, you have like the kid's uncle come over dressed as Santa Claus and he brings gifts, and they're like, "Oh, Santa Claus is actually real. I talked to him on Sunday." And now your kid seems like a fucking idiot to everybody that knows Santa Claus isn't real.
Yeah, you know, it's like I mean, imagine going to a concert and they're like, Santa Claus is actually going to be there. Like that's like that's what you're gonna get now.
I texted Santa Claus last night. He said he's gonna give me everything I want.
Ice Spice featuring Bugs Bunny. Like this is what we're going towards.
Yeah, well, there's definitely people that do concerts with Vocaloids.
Yeah.
But I want to get to the next point. Do you guys think that you would invest in having your own virtual influencer?
If I had a product to sell, absolutely.
Yeah,
I think so. And heck,
I'm on board.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of like, I don't know, marketing potential to it. So I'm not gonna lie. I feel like getting
piqued my
soon.
interest.
Well, let's see that last video.
Yeah, it's really piqued my interest.
Yeah, getting your own virtual influencer set up.
Yeah.
Know that 99.9% of people that don't post content because they're scared of what people might think. This podcaster started a podcast with an AI as his co-host, and it got me thinking, what if we could start building brands around virtual characters instead of ourselves? People around the world are creating virtual influencers and building huge brands around these influencers. These influencers are famous musicians, famous podcasters, video gamers. That person you think about every single night that you want to be 5 to 10 years from now, that hero. What if you don't have to wait 5 to 10 years? What if you could be that person today? Angel Baby is a virtual influencer that's a famous musician in Web3. All these people from the 2021 NFT bull run, they're starting podcasts with their NFTs as their avatars on the podcast. Eslo is a character that sells Notion templates. Why do people love Gary Vee, Elon Musk, Grant Cardone, whatever your favorite superhero is? Exactly what I just said. They want to be a hero. Everybody wants to be a hero. You all want to be a hero. But the truth is none of us are heroes. We're human beings. So we know that.
Oh, you know what? I just thought of.
At the end?
Yeah, I just thought of the fact that I think this is like what I think we're seeing, because you know about VTubers, right? Those
Yeah.
people, yeah. Like he mentioned it. Like you basically have like these virtual influencers of people that basically don like a persona. It's kind of like it seems like we're going to a state where like we're bringing like this idea of like virtual reality into the real world, or almost like now you can kind of like create, you're not just like yourself on social media interacting with people, but now you can kind of sculpt an identity and like actually live it. So like with VTubers, if you know, for those who don't know, those are people that like have like these little 3D avatars that represent them. And I feel like at a point it's gonna get to where more people are gonna be invested in doing that than trying to be their authentic self. Because I don't know, I think it's probably a little bit more engaging to most people, because it's like rather than trying to actually be a great person, I could just like think of an idea of a great person or a great thing, make that and just be that right away.
Right.
Like I don't have to become anything. I don't have to like, you know, people don't have to know the real me, because I'm not that interesting. I'm a boring guy. You know, I'm boring. I don't do anything. I don't have any skills. But I could, you know, be like a tiny chibi cat person. You know, like that's so much more interesting than just, I don't know, some black guy.
Yeah.
So,
like you just create a character, you invest in it, and then
Like
you
a
just
video
like
game, yeah.
you like take your ego and you turn it into a character, and then you see
Exactly.
how far your ego can make it.
Exactly. That's like, because you know, I think that's more visually stimulating, and then it's like you can kind of scope the reality around that without like any more effort than just making it and saying what it is. And I think that's one of the like kind of fascinating things that I think is going to draw a lot of people. I kind of predict the future where
might
you're going
be
to
the
see like
future,
probably
yeah.
more of that. We're like independent creators, where it's just like, I'm just gonna make an avatar and live through that.
Right.
Yeah, especially if the metaverse is like
Yeah.
a big thing.
I was definitely thinking of a tie-in with the metaverse. Like you can like have your, like when you're offline in the metaverse, you have your avatar just like posting on social media automatically based on the AI you trained it with. I wouldn't do that. I don't know. It just sounds stupid to me.
It does.
I get how, because it's like this type of stuff seems like it's for like really stupid people and children. Honestly, like VTube people that watch like VTubers and stuff like that, where it's like, oh my gosh, she's so cute, kawaii, you know, whatever the fuck. Like, you know, people that are like actually into watching like VTubers,
Right.
And someone who would actually subscribe to Lil Miquela and be like, oh man, Lil Miquela had Bella Hadid on. I guess I'm buying Calvin Klein now. She looked so good in that. It's like it doesn't click in my brain. Maybe, and this may be like a generational gap or something like that. I don't know. But
I think
for
so.
the kids that grow up using like TikTok and Instagram and social media and different applications that I've never heard of, Snapchat even, like, I mean, I know Snapchat was around when we were younger, but you know, kids grow up on all these things now, so they'll probably be like, oh yeah, I relate more to my Bitmoji than I do to my actual self.
Yeah,
you know?
I get that. Like, I mean, I would also say, like, to a degree, I have boomer brain, where it's like, you know, there's things that in society that I don't get, and I don't think I'm going to understand because, you know, it's just like nothing. It's something I didn't grow up with. Because I think the sentiment you said, like, this just seems really stupid to me. It's probably the same sentiment that, like, maybe your dad had when he first bought you, like, a GameCube. He's like, I don't know what the fuck this kid sees in this thing. It's just a stupid cube, you know? But, you know, I look at a kid, you know, you're going to have kids who grow up with a lot of this stuff. And the idea of, like, you know, oh, I want to, like, start my own stream. And, you know, first thing I got to do is, like, make an avatar, you know, make a little avatar instead of just going on there and starting it. Right. You know, it's going to seem ridiculous. Like, why you got to do that step? But to them, it makes sense. And to the people they're trying to entertain, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the...
That's the gist of it, man.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts from anybody, or that's it?
I think we're good.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching this episode. It's been about virtual influencers. Make sure you follow us on all social media platforms at Decode Podcast. We're also available on all audio and video platforms. That includes YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Rumble, everywhere you can find audio or video podcasts. You can also find us on Patreon to find our exclusive content. That includes My Black Friends podcast, which is currently on hiatus, but there are 80 episodes of really fun times. Thanks for popping in. We got to pop out of here.
All right. Peace.